Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, build your futon chair from Wayfair-worthy podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 16th of June, 2021. So, Kristy.
I guess you got your chair.
Exactly. So, Kristy, guess what I did yesterday?
Did you build it? Is it there?
So I did. When Kristy was here visiting my home in Austin, she was giving me some design inspiration on just sort of making rooms cozier for collaborative workspaces. And because mostly, it's just been me alone, we found this fantastic futon floor thing that would be like about a twin size bed size and a futon and a chair for my office. So it came, Kristy, and it was all just pieces of wood.
Oh, that sounds like a fun project for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so he was still traveling. And honestly, I had a fair amount of listening and research that I needed to do yesterday, finishing listening up to a book and some various podcasts. But when I first laid everything out and sat down and read the instructions, and it was like H91 3743 into 7384324 twice.
Wow.
I was like, this is never going to happen. And I almost just like packaged it all up and just waited for my husband to handle it because he's quite mechanical. And instead, I actually stuck with it and I got it done. And I now have a perfect meditation chair / writing chair. And I was really, really proud of myself. And I only had one extra dowel. So no extra screws, no extra like big old Dremel pins and everything, just one dowel. So I think.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah, I'm sure it'll hold itself together.
That was my big, wrap up work and get some research done afternoon yesterday. Didn't you have kind of an interesting afternoon yesterday?
I had a fantastic afternoon. So my son, who is now fully vaxxed, he's double vaxxed, he wanted to get out in the world. And one of the things he really wanted to do was go to the zoo.
I love it.
That was like the first thing he wanted to do, other than walk up and down State Street, which is now has been transformed because when they had to move everything to eating outside, this is the main street in Santa Barbara. It shut down to car traffic, and now it's like a walking street, and it's so wonderful. It's something that I've actually been advocating for the last couple of years as a local Santa Barbarian. But they finally actually moved in that direction, and it's great. So we went to the zoo yesterday afternoon with our friends, who's my friend Lena and her 3-year-old, and who's Adam's very close to as well. And it was so much fun. We got to see all the different animals. I mean, it's a small little zoo. Yeah. And yes, zoos are questionable, but it's a great learning experience for kids, and it does definitely connect you to conservation efforts,
right?
And a sense of that animals really are people too, which is sort of funny to think about, because if you have a sense that animals have rights and animals are individuals, then it can help all of us have a different connection to the natural world. And we're just part of it, right? We aren't the owners of it. We aren't the masters of it. We are a part of it. And our birds and our bees and our lions and our elephants and all the different animals that also exist on this planet deserve recognition as valid citizens of the planet.
Yeah, the controversy surrounding zoos, I think, is something that I struggle with, because I know that my introduction to a bigger world came from being at the zoo, right? Actually seeing lions and seeing zebras and creatures from all over the world gave me at a very early age a love. And, I have a veritable farm here now. The goats are coming next. But it Don't laugh, it's true. The simple fact is that a lot of zoos, I think, are turning their focus and turning their efforts and turning their economic system into one that is focused on conservation, rescue, recovery. In Austin, there is the Austin Zoo, which is this very, very sweet. It's like Santa Barbara Zoo 100 years ago because it's so rural and rustic, but so many of these animals or 100% of the animals there are rescues.
Okay.
And so there's a big, I guess, tiger trade here in Texas, which I guess there are more tigers owned privately in Texas than there are in zoos all over the world, which is a bit crazy. And most people are very ill prepared to have those sorts of large cats or animals in their care. And so I appreciate that, and recently there was an article about all the Tiger King tigers going to various big cat rescue centers all over the country. I just think that, knowing that zoos of the future, zoos that evolve, can really support animals and can support rehabilitation of animals. And, many of these animals could never be returned to the wild. I think in Santa Barbara, right, there was a giraffe that they had for many, many years who had a deformity, right?
She had a neck which was crooked, and she became sort of one of the mascots of the zoo. She died, I think, last year, which is sad. But they have a fantastic giraffe exhibit, and that's one of the highlights of the Santa Barbara Zoo because there is an opportunity to feed the giraffes, and of course the little kids just love that. And you get to see these beautiful, magnificent animals so up close. That's great. And then the lions are right next to them and they're watching them eat. And so I don't know if it's a little bit of the prey.
It's recreating that savannah feel.
Even though they have separation. But I mean, it's the elephants we used to have at the Santa Barbara Zoo are gone. I think they maybe got retired because I think elephants are such brilliant creatures. Maybe I don't know.
I think if I recall, one passed away and then they decided to relocate the other one with a herd for the purpose of not being isolated.
Social. They're social. Yeah. I feel a little sad for the gorillas because there's just a couple of males, so they have some social. So there's sadness going to the zoo, but there's also beauty. And I think all of our stories today are about animals.
I was going to say, this was a great segue into how zoos and conservationists can work together to create some pretty amazing creatures. Do you want to talk about your retiring creature, or should I talk about my bionic bird?
I want to talk about Magawa.
All right. Tell us about Magawa.
This is just a story which I just loved it. And I mean, just coming on after going to the zoo. But Magawa, the explosives-sniffing rat, is retiring. That's the headline of my story that I chose from today's Optimist Daily. And this sounds like it might be just a cutesy little story because it's about this Gambian pouch rat named Magawa who has been employed for the last 5 years in a really important job because he can sniff out explosives. And he's a large rat, not like the rats we have here, probably like a big cat size, maybe even larger. I'm not sure, maybe a small dog. But the Gambian rats are native to sub-Saharan Africa. They can grow up to 3 feet long from nose to tail. They're super agreeable and often kept as pets. Like our friend, one of our writers had rats in his house for a while. Right, they're really smart too. But the Gambian rat has very poor eyesight, but he also has a sensational sense of smell. And Magawa was trained to harness this natural ability by trainers from the Belgian nonprofit APOPO. No idea what that stands for, but that's just how it is in the article, that taught him how to sniff out military-grade explosives. And what he was employed doing was helping sniff out unexploded weapons that were buried in the Cambodian countryside. From 2016 to 2021, he worked as a living sensor, and they were able to uncover more than 100 unexploded weapons, which would otherwise potentially explode for people just walking through the fields. Yeah. And this is a terrible cost of war from the ages, right? You have all these unexploded landmines all over the world. In Cambodia alone, experts estimate that military forces left behind approximately 4 to 6 million idle landmines from the end of the Cambodian Civil War. And those abandoned landmines and other explosives have killed close to 20,000 Cambodians and injured more than 45,000 between 1979 and 2020. So that's a tremendous cost. And Magawa was able to help clear 225,000 square meters of land. So he found 71 landmines and 38 other unexploded devices. So this is a great service that this little creature has done, and he's now 7 years old, which is at the higher end of the lifespan for the Gambian pouched rat. So a new generation of rats is being trained to take over. But
I kind of wonder what his retirement looks like. Like, what does a rat retirement look like? Do you just sit and eat and snuggle and?
I hope so, but I just like the acknowledgement of how useful and how much of a partnership. We need to think of ourselves as in partnership with these kinds of animals. I was reading an article the other day about dogs being trained to sniff out COVID-19, and they're very, very accurate. And there's some, I guess, logistical problems with that as a solution to a virus like COVID-19. But we have to acknowledge how useful partnerships with non-human people can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the amazing work of, Magawa and other animals that are partners with us in this world are so important. And as many of you know, I've become an avid sit at my desk bird watcher. In fact, there happens to be a relatively young red cardinal directly outside my window right now on one of my bird feeders. And I was really excited by my headline today, which reads, "Meet Mia, the first bionic bird." Can you tell like the thematic thing Kristy and I are doing here today on Optimist Daily Update? So Mia is a female bearded vulture, and that is the largest type of flying bird in Europe. It's not the most impressive thing about her that she's just huge. She is actually the first bird to receive a permanent prosthetic foot and is described as the world's first bionic bird. Now, oftentimes you might see birds who have lost a foot and do just fine, and that's fine for smaller birds. But it's actually very, very difficult for large birds because walking, hunting is extremely difficult for one-footed birds when they are big and have a tremendous amount of weight. Mia was brought originally into the Owl and Bird Prey Sanctuary in Haringey, Austria, and a medical team at the University of Vienna decided to figure out how to give her a permanent prosthetic foot. A team that had already successfully attached mind-controlled bionic arms to 3 amputees, headed by Professor Oskar Assmann, decided to take this on. They applied a process called osseointegration, where the base of the artificial foot was joined directly into the end of the leg bone where the foot had previously been amputated. Mia started trying out her new foot within 3 weeks of the surgery and was able to support her full weight after only 6 weeks. She is now walking and landing normally.
You know what this reminds me of? Do you ever see that? Well, you may not have gotten it yet because your kid is too little, but How to Train Your Dragon?
Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
How to Train Your Dragon.
It's what's his name's tail.
Well, one of his feet or one of his.
No, it arms. Was it his foot or his
tail? One of his flying. Yeah, one of his tail needed a little extra oomph.
Yeah, it was like the little corner of his tail. Yeah. Right? What's the
trim tab? The tab, I don't know, the fin, one of his fins needed.
Hang on. I'm totally Googling How to Train Your Dragon right now because we can't remember the name of Hiccup.
Hiccup is he's the human owner, and it's
Toothless is the dragon.
Exactly.
Toothless is the dragon. Right. Just like that, this story is like a magical creature movie right here in the real world. And what I think is really valuable for this is that it's demonstrating not only improvements in prosthetic technology and, intelligent prosthesis for those who are differently abled. But I think also that conversation we were just having about recognizing the value of respecting the natural world and the other creatures that are not human but are people too. So
Yeah.
That's our wild and woolly day here on the Optimist Daily update. We also have some other great stories today that include no more lawns. Las Vegas takes big steps to address a drought. There is a water filtering pool in New York City that will clean the waters of East River, which is impressive. Ships that release alkalizing agents might just save the Great Barrier Reef. There's a whole aquatic theme. We didn't take the bait on that one today, Kristy. There's an initiative process that's providing refugees with refurbished bikes. What else do we have, Kristy?
Well, Indonesia has committed to all electric vehicle sales by 2050. Bioplastic that was inspired by spider silk could replace single-use plastics. The next time you work out, you might want to drink something pink. And community solar investment also provides free Wi-Fi for residents. And those are all the headlines on today's OptimistDaily.com. Go check it out, and you can read those stories and more. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to keep sharing positive, solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in the changing world and help ensure it is changed for the good. And we promise to keep covering current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offering you the information we all need to chart new paths for all of us. And if you're not already, please consider becoming an emissary on theoptimistdaily.com. And for starting at just $5 a month, you can help support reader-funded, independent journalism and be a part of the solution-changing consciousness that addresses our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Help us keep the Optimist Daily free for everyone who needs it, supported by those of us who can.
Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic hump day. Go build some furniture, watch some birds, or think about bionic rats, or
whatever.
Bomb rats, bionic birds. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks, everybody.